Welcome to Wellness is a Way of Life, the podcast for female leaders seeking sustainable energy, clarity, and confidence. I'm Megan Swan, your guide on a journey to mastering wellness as an integrated part of your life. Let's explore personalized wellness strategies that truly resonate with who you are. Welcome back to Wellness as a Way of Life. Today, I'm so excited to have a conversation with a friend of mine. Her name is Lindsey Harris. She transformed her life after battling panic disorder and finding solace in alternative therapies. While acupuncture, yoga, and meditation provided light temporary relief, it was a clinical hypnosis situation that enabled her to stop medication and reduce panic attacks by 90%. Can't wait to dive into that piece. Profound shift ignited her passion for the subconscious mind and led her to develop an integrative approach combining hypnosis and breath work for rapid transformation. She is the founder of A Deep Space, the world's first reprogramming studio. Lindsey empowers others to break free from survival mode and manifest their dreams through subconscious reprogramming, nervous system healing, and quantum manifestation. She trains clinical hypnosis and sound bath facilitators in her trauma-informed client-centered certification programs, equipping professionals with essential tools for lasting change. And we're going to talk about her membership 0.0 virtual platform that she is launching. It's full of reprogramming resources, hypnosis and breathwork audios, live classes, and direct support from space holders. Her vision is to spearhead research into deepening the scientific understanding of these modalities and ultimately, let's face it, global domination with a deep space. So, Lindsey, how are you?
I feel so pumped after you reading this bio. I'm like, it almost feels like when you're watching an MMA fighter right before they go out they go out into the ring and they have their coaches behind them just hyping them up. I'm like, yeah, let's go. And then you ended it with world domination. I'm like, okay. And honestly, if we can dominate the world via nervous system regulation, let's do it. Right?
Yeah.
More connection, more compassion, more empathy, more safety, more security, more abundance, all of these things. World domination via this. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, your bio is such fire. That's why I wanted to read the whole thing, because I think it really sets the stage. Backing up a little, we met on the street in New York, not sort of like in passing, but we were attending an event together. And yeah, I'll always remember us trying to find a cab as they're lighting the tree, and it was pretty much impossible. And I was just always so floored and a little bit envious that you had gone, at least at that point, you were really focusing on the brick and mortar and a real space, which I think ultimately is something that's important with these types of modalities. But I also love that you're making it accessible, because I never could get myself to San Diego and come in person.
Yeah, well, the vision for a deep space is to expand. The vision that I have for us is to kind of be for reprogramming work, for nervous system work, for subconscious work, kind of like what core power is for yoga and what Soul Cycle was for spin, which is this just making it so accessible, democratizing it, expanding it. Yoga for a long time was inaccessible. And it was also considered to be like a little bit weird and a little bit woo-woo and a little bit like, oh, you do yoga? And now we're lucky here in San Diego. There's a yoga studio on every single corner. I
Yeah.
could walk to a yoga studio now and be there in 10 minutes. And likely where you are, it's the same, I'm assuming. But most people know what yoga is, and they don't feel any sort of aversion to it. With hypnosis, there's definitely stigma around it still. And even breath work, it always surprises me when I have a conversation with someone, even people in the wellness space. And they're like, breath work? Yeah, I kind of heard of it. I've never done it though before. And I'm like, this is literally the key to freedom. Truly, it's the key to freedom. So, I have this, I'm holding this vision for Deep Space to do for reprogramming, what again, core power and soul cycle did for these other modalities. So at some point in time, we'll be likely in a city near you or in any city. And we'll start here in San Diego. I did close the brick and mortar space, and I'm just recalibrating my own inner landscape and expanding my own nervous system's ability to hold this inevitable stress that comes with building
Next level. Yeah.
building anything, but building something especially like this, where again there is a lot of stigma around it. There is, some of my own subconscious fears of around being perceived as certain things, just the as being perceived as weird or whatever it is. And so we're aligning the company with science backed, evidence based modalities, because we really really want to destigmatize it. We really want to make it accessible, and that's where we are right now. So we restructured, and we have the app. It's just a super easy to access reprogramming resources, hypnosis, breath work, EFT tapping is coming, somatic practices, journal prompts that rewire your mind and your nervous system, all of this in an app. And then we have virtual live classes, and we pop around here and there and do in-person classes as well. I'd love to have
I
you
would,
in there.
yeah. No, I definitely want sign me up.
You're in.
I'd love for you, like, what is your definition of hypnosis?
Mm. Um, Hypnosis is just a process. It's a process of inducing a trance state. And a trance state it's an altered state of consciousness that we all enter at least 2 times a day. So as you're going to sleep or as you're coming out of sleep, your brain moves from, if you were to measure your brain waves using an EEG, moves from beta, conscious waking state, like the state that you and I are in right now, into alpha, and then into theta, and then down into delta. Delta, you're completely unconscious. Your conscious mind's offline. You're asleep. When you come up and out of sleep, it's the same thing. You move from delta into theta, and then alpha, and then into beta. So alpha and theta, those middle brainwave states, those are hypnotic trance states. So as a hypnotist, we induce that trance state. We induce alpha and theta brainwave states. And then we utilize hypnotherapeutic techniques like inner child work and parts integration work and bilateral unwinding and the recoding of memories in order to access and alter subconscious programs. So hypnosis is this process, again, that involves inducing a trance state, which is a state of heightened suggestibility. So your mind is more suggestible while you're in that state, and your brain, there's a heightened level of neuroplasticity that occurs in the brain when you're in these trance states, which means that you're able to change the literal structure of your brain. You can change when you induce this trance. So that's what hypnosis is in a nutshell. And it's really quite like the process is quite simple. I know you studied hypnosis a bit. The process itself is quite simple. And everyone can experience hypnosis. There's a stigma that like not everyone can be hypnotized. And it's true that not everyone can enter a hypnotic trance rapidly, but
Mm.
it's not true that everyone can't be hypnotized, that everyone because again, when we go to sleep, anytime we relax the body and we can relax the mind enough, we can move through those two brainwave states, we're in a hypnotic trance state. So everyone can access it. It just takes some people a little bit longer potentially. If our nervous systems are tightly wound or there's like a lot going on in the mind, sometimes it just takes, and tightly wound, I mean, if we're in a dysregulated state, sometimes it just takes a little bit more time to access those altered states of consciousness, but everyone can experience it. It's a highly and wildly transformative.
Yeah. And so are you offering group classes of that? Because what does that look like? Because as you mentioned, like I've been trained to some extent, but it's always with this idea that it's like a one-on-one, very personalized version of it. So I'm super curious what it looks like in a group setting.
Yeah, both. So the group settings online are really, we have, okay, so if you were to come to a group experience, you would open up your laptop or your phone, put in your headphones, and there's always a little bit within one of the modalities that we utilize in a deep space is community itself. Community is such a medicine. It's so healing. When we're in a dysregulated state, meaning when we're in our survival state, the parts of the brain that are responsible for a desire to connect to other people kind of shut down. And so when we're in community and we can start to recalibrate to the sense of safety and healing with other people and co-regulation and all of these types of things, it's really, really healing. So oftentimes in a group class, there's a little bit of sharing, only if it feels safe and comfortable for the participants. And when you share, then myself or one of our other clinical hypnotists will take note of whatever it is that you're moving through, whatever it is that you're working through, so that the session is tailored toward everyone's desired outcomes. So if we have, 10 people in class, 20 people in class, however many people we have there, we have as many people as we can within a certain amount of time share their intentions, and everyone else, we have them fill out a little form. So we still are able to receive everyone's intentions, and then we bake them into the session. So it's like the next best thing to one-on-one work. And one-on-one work is really, really important too. I think that we're just wanting to make hypnosis again accessible. It's a
Mhm.
really accessible way to experience one-on-one work if you don't have the financial resources. But it's also, if you do have the financial resources and you are exploring one-on-one support, it's a great way to reinforce the work, because we know that reinforcement strengthens neural pathways, and a strong neural pathway is indicative of an automatic behavior. And we really just, with hypnosis, all the subconscious reprogramming work, we're creating automatic behaviors out of sort of the behaviors that we want to, the actions that we want to take, as opposed to like maybe maladaptive or unsupportive actions that we're automatically taking that are out of alignment with our goals or our authentic self. So a group session looks like that. You share your intention, you put on your headphones, you close your eyes. If it feels safe for you to close your eyes, you can also do this work with your eyes open, which I know you've studied NLP, so you're probably a little familiar
Yeah.
with that. But for those people who might be a little bit more, it just, we're all of our brains are wired differently, and some people just feel safer with their eyes open exploring this work. So typically eyes closed, laying down or seated, you have your camera on so that myself or our facilitators can calibrate to you. We can really read your facial expressions, we can read your breath patterns, and then you just listen. And that's really it. You listen and you follow, and you can fall asleep. If you fall asleep, the work still works. Sleep is so healing and restorative. And it's visualization. And so you're visualizing different scenarios. And then you're just receiving words. So again, when you're in that altered state of mind, your subconscious is so suggestible, meaning I could deliver a suggestion or a direction, a directive to your mind. And as long as there isn't a conflicting core value or an underlying wound, a subconscious wound, the affirmation, the direction, the suggestion will just land in the deeper mind, and then you'll just start to act and think in accordance to whatever that directive was. So an example of that would be, I don't know, what's something that you are wanting to believe about yourself that you feel like you don't currently believe.
Let's say something about getting a TEDx talk opportunity in the next year.
Oh, I got the chills. Okay, what would you need to believe about yourself in order to get that opportunity?
That I'm already a public speaker, which, I can make arguments, but I think like I haven't quite stepped into that identity quite yet.
Okay, perfect. You're already a public speaker, so you're wanting to make a shift on an identity level. What's one belief that you as a public speaker holds?
That it's not intimidating to speak to thousands at once in person.
Okay, good. So the subconscious mind doesn't perceive negatives. And so if we say it is not intimidating, it's going to perceive it as just it is intimidating. That not is taken out. So what's another way that we can say that?
It's empowering to speak in person in front of thousands of people at the same time.
Great. Okay. So while in a hypnotic trance, I would deliver that to your mind, that it's empowering to speak to thousands and hundreds of thousands of people at a time, that it's safe to be perceived by thousands of people, that, and whatever else you want to believe about that scenario. And the difference between doing this in a hypnotic trance state versus like in a conscious waking state. So like, using affirmations while uh, staring at yourself in the mirror, and saying those words that you just said while in conscious waking, is that there are lots of, your mind is always trying to protect you and trying to validate your current reality. And so when we believe the opposite of that, and we try to tell ourselves that it's safe to be perceived by all these people, that it's empowering to be up in front of all of these people, that it's in alignment with who we want to be, there are all of these other parts of the psyche that are in place to prevent that belief from landing. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
And so we're in a hypnotic trance state, all of those protective parts, they kind of like recede a bit, and we're able to bypass the critical faculties, or what it's called, the critical faculty. We're able to bypass this kind of like gatekeeper of the mind, and the affirmation or the new belief will just simply land there. And then you'll find that your actions and your thoughts are now in alignment with the I can be in front of all of these people, I can speak, and it can feel empowering. Which means that your thoughts are just going to reflect that. You'll no longer think disempowering thoughts, and you'll just start to think empowering thoughts. It can be that simple. So in a group setting, you've shared your belief, and myself or a facilitator delivers that belief to you. And then you come up and out of the session and you just find that you're moving through life differently. Your external reality will reflect those new internal beliefs as well. And the cool thing about the membership is that so all of those live classes, you can find them within the membership. And then we upload the recording as well into a resource portal, a recordings portal, so you can listen to that same recording over and over and over again. So it's kind of like until it's locked in. So it's kind of like you have your own custom hypnosis recordings there.
Amazing. So just playing a little bit to, I think common fears or, misunderstandings around hypnosis. You say that it's this highly suggestible state. A lot of people are thinking like, how can I trust what you're going to instill in me? And, where my mind goes is it's kind of, I wish more people would, have that same hesitation when they're taking yoga instructions in a yoga studio at carte blanche. Like, oh, this person is a yoga teacher. And so I'm going to trust everything that they say about my body without really analyzing or checking in internally. And so when it comes down to it, ultimately it's, you build trust as an established individual that this is a safe place to work on these things. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And a deep space, one of the things that we hear constantly is that it feels so safe. The space itself, the brick and mortar space, it's like our community constantly reflects like I've never felt so safe in a class, in a community. It's so safe to go there to explore self. Everything we do at a deep space too, it's client centered. So it's focused on you. We don't take the perspective of sort of like a coach or someone who knows your path, or knows the sort of the desi knows your desired outcome more than you do. So, a better way to say that is we believe that you have all the answers within you because you do. And so we take your words. This is why we ask, before every class, we collect information from you, from your own, the way that your mind has uniquely encoded information as it relates to your direct life experience. And then we deliver your words to your mind. So, yes, absolutely. Like finding an establishment that you trust, building a sense of rapport, building relationships with the facilitators and with the community, and doing your due diligence, researching. Especially with hypnosis, you want to make sure that the person that you're working with feels safe, of course, but also like it's just so important to find a space or to find a facilitator that is client centered and trauma informed. And that's what we are at a deep space. And again, it's just we're constantly being reflected. Like it feels so safe, even when we don't have the brick and mortar anymore, but we pop up, in local venues. And it's the same. And it's like, regardless of where we are, it doesn't, the four walls that contain us, it's not necessarily the space itself, even though our space was so cool. It's like all the walls were black, and like it was so different. It felt like a womb space, or
Mhm.
kind of like the safe space to explore the darker aspects of self, the shadowy kind of, the
Yeah.
grief, the anger, and the heaviness. But, we've popping up in this space that's like high ceilings, and it's all white and it's bright and it's completely it's the opposite. It's dichotomy. And it's the same reflection. It's just it feels so safe to explore self, and it feels so safe to build community. And, if you if you're wanting to, whoever your listeners are wanting to explore hypnosis and they do feel that sense of like, oh, if I'm so suggestible, I don't know, like, can I trust them? You can always listen to the recordings while in conscious waking state, right? Like just while in your day to day and listen to the recordings from start to finish. And then you'll get an understanding of sort of like what the suggestions that we're delivering are and how the process works. But like my purpose is really deeply tied to elevating humanity through the individual. And I want nothing more than whoever I'm communicating with to feel seen. I'm getting emotional. Like truly, I can feel it in my body, but to feel seen and safe and empowered because I know what it's like to be on the opposite end of that spectrum. And I mean, we're humans. We go through it's highs and lows, it's ebbs and flows, it's peaks and valleys. And when we're in a valley, I really just want the people to know that they can still connect to others, that they can feel safe even when their mind is trying to convince them that they aren't, if this makes sense.
Yeah, no, I love that suggestion, and I love your mission of elevating humanity through the individual and the seen and safe. Yeah, it's just, I mean, you're preaching to the choir. And I think like all of these modalities, like I truly believe there's no one size fits all. So, even if you try it once and it doesn't resonate, that might just be at that moment in time in your life that's not really part of your journey. And, maybe not to give up on the modality forever. And even within your space, like there's all sorts of modalities that you're offering. And to me, like a sound bath is like one of the most accessible, like all you're gonna do is lie down and experience. There's like and one of my favorite things to do.
It's literally like one of my former facilitators and we used to say like it's like the lazy girl's guide to transformation. You lay there and you have your cozy blanket and your like fuzzy socks. And then we facilitate hypnotic sound baths. So like hypnosis is integrated. So I'm an integrative hypnotist. And so it's, as you said, we're combining all these other modalities. It's sound bath, it's breath work, it's hypnosis, it's somatic reprogramming, we use subliminals. And so we facilitate breathwork classes, group hypnosis classes, and sound baths. But hypnosis is weaved into all of them because when you are laying there during a sound bath and you feel that feeling of like, when you feel that kind of almost like you're drifting in between asleep and awake and you're like, oh, that's hypnotic trance. And so your mind is more suggestible and you're in this heightened state of neuroplasticity. And so why not alter the subconscious programs while you're laying there? So we like incorporate subliminal audio tracks, which is it's an audio that's full of affirmations in which the volume is taken all the way down and the frequency is taken down and the affirmations are sped up. And this, again, it's all about bypassing the conscious mind. It's bypassing the gatekeepers of the mind. And so you're in the sound bath and you're also reprogramming your subconscious intentionally. And same with breath work. Breath work, we facilitate a conscious connected breath, and inevitably your brain waves change. They shift, everything slows down. So you're in a hypnotic trance. So why would we not use that? You mentioned yoga earlier. It's the same. Like we have a certification program, and we have a few yoga teachers in the program because when you're teaching yoga, you've built rapport with your students. They're already following your commands, they're following your directives. And then you guide them into shavasana and they're in this meditative state, right? Already. And so they're in shavasana, their mind, their brainwaves have slowed down and they're highly suggestible. And so if you even just simply say, throughout the rest of the day, you are going to feel better than you have in a long time. Just that simple direct, or your body is healing at an accelerated rate. And if you say it with conviction, that's hypnosis. That's really all it is, right? And so yoga teachers, breathwork facilitators, sound facilitators, to be able to understand estheticians, massage therapists, like anyone who's guiding the body, the nervous system, and the mind into a relaxed state, there's all this potential that's there to change the subconscious programs, to change mindset, to change perception, to change, to recalibrate and to realign people to their authentic blueprint, their authentic selves. Just so much potential. And so for all of these other sort of these facilitators of these other modalities to understand how the subconscious works and to understand hypnosis. I think it's just like, again, like hypnosis to me is one size fits all. It really is. And it's the stigma and the perception of that creates this illusion that it isn't. But I really believe that hypnosis is one size fits all because it's so simple. When you're in an altered state of consciousness, you are more suggestible. That's it. And so, as a yoga teacher, as a esthetician, as a sound facilitator, why not deliver suggestions for empowerment and self-improvement and all of these things to your client, to your students or to your clients while they're in that state?
Yeah, it's essentially like completely leveling up your service in a highly integrated way that, I mean, will make you not compare it to the competition. I mean, I think it's really smart, that avenue. So, is there are there tendencies that you see? I mean, I think, in certain circles, it would just be like, sounds delicious to go to one of these sessions, but are there certain types of people with specific needs that tend to show up that you're seeing these patterns, and even just drilling down a little bit on how it personally helped you with your panic attacks? Like, is that a common theme that you see coming in to the
Yeah.
sessions?
Yeah, absolutely. I think because of my experience, when I initially opened a deep space, I was tailoring lots of the copy, for lack of a better way of saying it, the messaging to people who were in states of dysregulation, meaning like, high anxiety, high stress, dysregulated sleep patterns, feeling a sense of just a lack of safety in general in their systems. So yeah, like we have people that come to class who have struggled with depression, and we can't treat depression. It's out of our scope of practice. We're not licensed mental health professionals. We do have some licensed mental health professionals in our trainings, but because I'm not a licensed mental health professional, I'm a clinical integrative hypnotist. We don't treat depression, we don't treat anxiety, we don't treat insomnia, but we can treat the symptoms of. And because you're tapping into, or our students are tapping into their own inner resources, oftentimes whatever's causing or creating the anxiety, the depression, the sleep issues just is resolved via these sessions. But yeah, so lots of that. We have lots of moms in our communities who are like, I'm freaking out. I'm showing up in a way that reminds me of how my mom showed up with me, and I don't like it. And it's their childhood conditioning and their childhood patterns are playing out in their current present moment, and that's how this work works. Is like between the ages of 0 and 7, we're highly suggestible. We're just like walking subconscious minds. We're just like walking sponges.
Sponges.
Uh, we're little sponges, and we're receiving information about worthiness and love and safety and reality. And as adults, we only like 2 2 to 5% of our thoughts and our behaviors are conscious. The rest of it is just our child self. It's just our little child mind
Wow.
control reality. Yeah. So we have moms come to the community, come to classes who are like, I don't want to be snapping at my kids. I don't want to be highly reactive, but I'm just noticing that I'm saying these things that my mom said to me, and it's like not okay, but they don't know how to control it. It's automatic. And so there's lots of that. Let's see, we have people who are integrating like plant medicine experiences, they've done ayahuasca or psilocybin, and they're on this deep like spiritual journey, and they want to continue the process but without taking anything, because breath work can take you there without you having to ingest a psychoactive. I'm highly, highly, highly allergic to THC. I've had 2 extremely traumatic experiences with THC, so I stay away from like any psychoactive. I have I think that there's so much power in, if it feels aligned, finding someone who can facilitate these medicines in a safe and supported way. But for me, it's just no. But with breath work, it can take me to those deep places without. And there's like a brake pedal. Like when you ingest something, you're in it. If you take ayahuasca, you're in it. But with breath work, it's a very highly controlled. So for those of us who maybe are a little bit more, are working to are working on hypervigilance or have a little bit more of this desire to feel in control, breathwork is a really powerful, and integrative breathwork, hypnotic breathwork is a really powerful way to get you there. So we have people, that's a common thing, sort of integrating plant medicine or wanting to explore something like that, but are a little bit afraid of plant medicine. What else is common in the community? Manifestation. So just like people who are feeling like I really want to manifest this opportunity to be on a TED Talk, but like I'm just noticing that I'm not doing it. I want to do it. I know I can do it. I know I'm worthy of doing it, but I'm just not doing the thing. Manifesting love, relationships, partnerships, healing abandonment issues, healing attachment styles, things like this. Like really, these are all really common. Confidence, worthiness, really common. But like to be honest, if you in any given so in any given group class in person, we have men of different ages. We have women of different ages. We have people from all different backgrounds because we all have a subconscious mind and we all have a nervous system. And in its sort of simplicity, this is all just about us coming out of survival mode and back into creation and connection. And so it's like, yes, there are common themes, but they all kind of come back to that.
Mhm. Well, and you mentioned that in your bio, and I think most people can resonate with survival mode, right? Like we're all in it at some point, or maybe not every single day, but there's it's just the reality of modern society that we're all dealing with some level of that. And I loved all the examples that you painted there because I think it gives a lot of more context of how this can work and essentially just support you in whatever you're working on, in addition to just giving you like a very relaxing experience that you feel more empowered at the end, if that's where you are as well. So tell us, like, how do you want people to reach out? What are you currently doing that they can like sample and connect with? And yeah, all the things.
Okay. So we have our membership zero, which is the virtual platform, and they can find that on our website. There is a link for half off for life if you sign up now because we're in beta, so we're still building out the some of the material. And then we have our certification for anyone who's interested in incorporating hypnosis or understanding their own subconscious mind and their nervous system, their kids' subconscious mind, how they can incorporate this work into their business. You work with leaders. And so understanding the subconscious and understanding the nervous system is like the most, I truly believe above strategy, above all the things, it's the most important thing as a leader, as a CEO, as a thought leader.
The game changer.
It's a game changer because our level of our I want to say our success is contingent on our inner glass ceilings, our subconscious inner glass ceilings, right? And then also our nervous system's capacity to hold stress and to hold success because with the expansion comes more. And so yeah, so membership zero for personal resources, and then our clinical hypnosis certification to dive deeper into the kind of like, the deep science and the how to hold space in that way. And people can connect with us on Instagram. We're at adeepspace.co. And my personal Instagram is at Lindsey Janelle Living. I think that's kind of it for now. We do group events, we do private events. We have some open availability for one-on-one sessions virtually for anyone who is not here in San Diego. And we're launching a podcast in the summer called Reprogram. So I'll see you on my podcast.
Ooh, exciting and good title. I like it. And I've just always loved all of your branding. Like I love it's just such a beautiful extension of who you are and everything you're putting out in the world. So
That's how when we first met, you were like dressed to the nines, and every outfit that you wore, I was like, oh my gosh, girl. Like it was so good. And
I dialed down the pink for today. I should have thought of that.
I value aesthetics, I think, just as much as you do. So thank you for that compliment.
Well, we'll share all of everything you mentioned in the show notes, and yeah, I'm definitely gonna jump in. I didn't realize you were doing things virtually. I was still in my back of my mind trying to get to the brick and mortar in San Diego, and now and we can connect more virtually. So that's amazing.
I'll see you in class.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Wellness is a Way of Life. Are you ready to make wellness a natural part of your routine? Let's stay connected. Go to meganswanwellness.com. Until next time, live well and thrive.